Welcome back to Society Case Files. My name is Robert, and today I'm going to talk about Titan Quest 2. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Otherwise, I'm going to dive right in. So Titan Quest 2 just came out in early access, and it's pretty much, I think, what you'd expect. I'm not entirely surprised by anything I've seen here. Basically, they've given you Act 1 to play through, which some people are saying takes around 90 minutes, a couple hours. I've played for 2, and I don't feel like I'm anywhere near the end of it. And I'm also at a point where I kind of don't want to go on, knowing that there's so much to tweak, and I'd rather kind of experience the story from whatever character is going to be available when they've released more of the game. Right now, there are quite a few builds. You basically get to pick a mastery, so to speak, and there's several to choose from. And then later on, you get to pick a second one, which kind of makes you your real class, I guess. In my case, my character ended up being a Tempest, which is a warrior with storm powers. I tried to make Thor, I guess. But the way it looked, at least early on, you kind of wanted to focus so that you had more powers that could get you through some of the tougher challenges rather than try to diversify too much. At least that was my perspective. If you've played and you disagree, let me know. Further things that they've done is they allow you to get up to level 40. Now, I think I'm pretty close to the end of Act 1. There's some side quests and stuff that I got a little stuck on. I'll talk about that in a second. But if that's the case, and if I am close, then that's a whole lot of levels that you would just be basically grinding by resetting the mobs or elevating the difficulty level, sort of like changing tiers in Diablo. My guess is that at some point they're going to do a reset. The problem right now is there's not really a roadmap, and they haven't really described what's going on with early access, at least without too much depth. I mean, I don't know how many acts there will be eventually. I don't know how many builds. I don't know a lot of stuff. Some of this information is available from folks who really did a deep dive, and I'm much more about the first impression and how it feels. And so far, it feels okay. It's not terrible. It's not super awesome. There's some unintuitive controls. In fact, I would change a few. Specifically, I would change how the health and energy potions work, because I have accidentally hit the wrong button, and then when I get out of the menu I've accidentally opened, I've been killed. Which I suppose in a lot of ways is pathetic, because on normal mode, this game is not that difficult. You just got to pay attention. There are some side bosses that are higher level than you are when you get to them, or at least they were for me, and they were pretty nasty. In some regards, the whirlwind power I got, basically the spin power that most games have, prevailed pretty well for the most part. I mean, I was tearing through stuff. In fact, when I fought the first boss, which is this crazy griffin, I approached it like it was a Path of Exile 2 boss, and I was trying to move around and stay out of range, jump in, do a little damage, and then I died very quickly. So I went and I was pretty close to the next level. So I just did a little grinding, got to the next level, but I guarantee that didn't help, because the second time I went at it, I just hugged the monster and basically used my spin attack, and I didn't even see half of the really cool mechanics attacks that it did, the things where you'd have to dodge and all that stuff, because it was just getting its butt kicked, and it went down pretty fast. I mean, not insanely. It still had quite a bit of health and this kind of weird shield, but all around, the power worked. Now, it did not necessarily work on the boss that was overpowered, as in it was higher level than me, because I just couldn't do the damage, or rather I couldn't take the damage that it was dishing out. So there is some limitations to that cheesy power, but I suspect it'll be changed. A lot of this is going to be changed. As far as what I'm seeing today, I expect quite a bit of this to be refined and cleaned up. I did even have to report a couple of bugs, mostly glitches where you'd get stuck on something and just couldn't do anything about it. I think that we'll see some pretty significant alterations to the way that many things work. Probably loot a little bit, especially when the multiplayer is implemented more appropriately. There is the option to try it, but it does warn you that it's highly unstable. So I wasn't all that interested in seeing what that was about. And beside that, I'm not super interested in playing a game like this in multiplayer, not even in co-op per se, unless it's a friend. And I don't know anybody playing it quite yet. I mean, it did just come out on the 1st, I think. So it's not like a lot of people that I know at least have tried it. I did see that they had 300,000 sales pretty fast, which is great for them. I liked Titan Quest 1. I thought that it was a really neat game. The story was fun. I'd kind of forgotten about it until I saw Titan Quest 2 popped up. So has been a long time since they've released a game. What I like most about this is that I feel like the story and the little side stories kind of remind me of a more refined but older Diablo system, like a cross between Diablo 3-ish and a more appropriate quest-driven game. An even better comparison actually would be Grim Dawn. I think that this sits nicely with Grim Dawn, whereas it's not really in the same category as Path of Exiles 2 or Diablo 4. Those games to me feel like these sort of rush fests where you're doing these seasons and you're trying to get a specific set of loot or unlock certain things, and then you basically start a new character at the end of the time. This one has a little bit more of a methodical approach. It's a little slower paced, at least at the beginning. I'm sure later on you'll get speed powers and be able to go completely crazy and charge through maps and tear them up. But at least for now, it feels more like Grim Dawn, where you've got the multi-classing thing. You can respec, you can play with the cool tree. There's a lot of story. There's plenty of things to do. All around, I think this is one of those more story-driven ARPGs, so it's not going to be quite as intense as the others. That said, there seems to be plenty of theory crafting available, and there's some cool puzzles throughout the game as well. So I think it can stand on its own as something that will be super fun for people to do, and definitely a nice alternative to the kind of things that we've been seeing lately. You know, everybody wants to have a game that basically has seasons and microtransactions and ways to get people to do, you know, just keep coming back over and over and over again and effectively starting over from scratch. Whereas I suspect this game is going to be a little bit more focused on the single player experience. I could be completely wrong by the end. We'll see. But for now, I think we've got a very interesting start. But if they don't give us a good roadmap and you really can beat Act 1 in 90 minutes, they might see a surge of refunds. Now, I played it well past 2 hours and didn't finish that, but I was scouring the island, just checking out different things. If you were kind of a rusher and maybe you'd played Titan Quest 1, so you knew the systems better than I do, because I haven't played it in years and years and years, then maybe you would get through it super fast. And then in that case, you've got this early access game that you're like, well, when is the next thing? Should I even keep it installed? Is it something that I care about anymore? Are they going to reset my character? These are questions that would be really nice to know. Again, I do suspect that as you go into this, I would not assume your character will stay in the game as it is. I would guess that they will be resetting progress at some point, especially with how little of the game is done. They did mention that there's other classes and other things that will be released. So I do suspect that if you did decide to just grind up to 40, just do it for fun, because it won't be for posterity. It'll be like you're playing seasons, only your character will probably be gone. That said, I had a great time playing it until I got a little frustrated with that boss and just didn't feel like grinding anymore. I'll probably go back to it just to see what's going on. But my number one thing is I'd kind of rather wait until they tell me what's next, and maybe even talk about what they're going to release in early access. And then I'll come back and try that new material. But until then, my first impression is that this is absolutely worth the $23 I paid. And if you can get it for that price, you absolutely should, especially if you love ARPGs and you want one that isn't going to turn into a season fest where you're making a new character every 3 months. Then, at least for now, that seems like this is the path they're taking. Watch them make me a liar here in a few weeks and announce, you know, some kind of crazy leagues or whatever else they've got available to them. I mean, they may try to compete with Path of Exile 2 and the other games. So far, just looking at the skill trees and stuff, though, they don't seem to be that technical, nor are they going to require that much commitment, considering if you think about the Path of Exile 2 passive skill tree, it's freaking madness. And the one here in this game is very manageable. It's even less crazy than Diablo 4, to be perfectly honest. So I'm hoping they stick to the Grim Dawn style rather than go towards their more aggressive colleagues there. But we'll see. Have you played Titan Quest 2? What do you think of it? Is it a game that you're going to keep? Have you even bought it yet? Are you looking forward to seeing the rest of the story? Let me know in the comments and we'll talk about it. This is Robert with Society Case Files, signing off.